the expenses then, to the bottom line, if we have to put $500,000 of our own into the pipeline,
So the park project is estimated at 1.6 million.
right?
Park grant is a reimbursable grant.
Right.
So we have to spend it first, so we do have to show the total
Got it.
expenditure.
Got
But
it.
then we show the 500,000 on the revenue side.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, any more discussion?
Yeah, I want to add to it. Mr. Councilman Hines, Mayor Pro Tem, we all work diligently on this budget process. And for me, I just want to thank the town of Holly Ridge, because the reason why we have so much money is because the town of Holly Ridge has been saving money. So Chuck, thank you for that. And the reason the general fund is so well fed in case of catastrophes, like we have a Holly Plaza next door, if we have a terrible hurricane, Holly Ridge needs to be well positioned to be able to support a natural disaster in our marketplace. So, and I do believe the 40% is probably going to go down to 28, 29% is once this 1.3 comes out. So, but for me, my decision point was going to see who's going to be in the audience today in our live stream that had a gripe about our budget, that we're overspending 1.3 million that we got to take out of our general fund, and there's really nobody here complaining about it.
I was complaining about it, it doesn't do any good.
Well, no, I still need to hear. One person matters, you know?
There's others that would not even attend because they didn't have to get into an argument match about this budget.
Well, that's why we have the public hearing, so you can have 3 minutes to vent, we listen to you.
Yeah, but this just gets me irate if there's I'm not sure.
All right.
I don't agree with it.
Okay, well, thank you for that. At least one out of 5,400 people.
Shola, we do want to hear from you in any way. If you give us a chance to hear from you,
I preach it. We don't need to be throwing money away that we don't have. You gotta run this down like it's a business. And in my business, the only way I stay afloat is don't spend when I don't have.
So if you heard that we have the money, you heard that we're over the 25% threshold.
And we also heard that it's gonna drop it down, and if we have a disaster, what are we gonna do?
Correct, we're still 17% above that 8% state minimum. Again, I agree with you 100%. We're never gonna make anybody happy on budget season, that's the other beauty of it. So in my mind, it's like, you're gonna have somebody happy, somebody sad. Every department doesn't get what they want, and we try to be fair across the board with everyone. And then we stood our ground on the tax increase. I was the one that was saying we should do a tax increase. 34 cents is kind of a little low compared to every other municipality in our marketplace. And each penny is $80,000, and was like $5 to $6 on the lower price point. Our trash bill went up basically higher than what it would cost a normal family member for taxes. But we do have the money. So this means next year, we're going to be in a pickle. So if something does happen, and we spend this money, and we're looking at increase in taxes. That's just the way it is, or we're gonna have to run a tight ship. So it is scary.
And we had hours upon hours upon hours of working on this budget. Arguments as to what we should cut, what we shouldn't cut. And I think the only person that showed up for those hours and hours of open meetings was Ken Bradshaw. So that was it. I mean, I agree with you, but if nobody shows up,
I've been here for many, many years, and I voice my opinion all the time. It don't seem to matter.
right? But did you come to any of the budget meetings, ma'am?
No, sir, I didn't.
For that-
Most of my time.
Well, then, I mean, it wasn't like we just went la-di-da and rubber stamped it. We worked our butts off to put this together.
I'm not taking that from you, not at all.
Okay.
I'm saying we shouldn't be spending what we don't have, and you don't use your savings because you might have a disaster.
No, I hear that from a lot of people, but they don't show up and tell me that. All right, that's all. I'm sorry, man, I just had to bring that up. This council worked very hard.
That's good.
Can I say something too?
of course.
You keep referring to Surf City, Topsail, and Swansboro. Holly Ridge isn't even close to those. So comparing them to those, as far as whether you're going to increase the taxes or not, is not something that I think is a valuable situation, because obviously they have a lot more than what we have here at Holly Ridge. So to me, that's not what we should be looking at. And you're making us feel like, oh, we're so great because we're not increasing taxes like the other ones are. Well, we don't have what they have. So I'd like to keep that in perspective too.
Agreed.
That comparison is not fair because we don't provide all the services that they do, and we don't have all the facilities they do. So, yes, Councilman.
And the point I was trying to make earlier is that the fact of the matter that, yeah, our fund balance is up, but anybody can ask Chuck how I feel about raising taxes. We've kept them low. Matter of fact, we've lowered them several years. If we keep going the direction we're going to, we're going to go up like Surf City and Topsail because we're going to drop that fund balance down to where we're going to get into the 20s, and that's where it's going to get us in trouble. This year, we'll get by, but next year, if we keep going the way we're going, one-time expense, it doesn't hurt your revenue too bad because next year, it's going to catch up. But when you start adding services, whatever it is, it's going to be an ongoing expense, and we need to prepare for that. But, you just cannot sustain a town with a budget that you keep drawing into your savings. It's just impossible. Nobody's going to do it. Eventually, the payday's going to come, and it's going to be on the taxpayers. And I'm the most conservative person around, I think, because I feel like the money that's being spent here in the town, I treat it like it's my money, and I'm not going to see it wasted. There's needs and wants, and we need to definitely take care of our needs, and sometimes the wants just have to go by the wayside.
And I spoke with Councilwoman Hall before she left. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here. And she expressed some concerns about some of the budget details and some of the allocations for some of the larger departments or larger areas. So she has some concerns. Of course, she can't be here, but I guess it's time for the council to decide if we're going to approve this budget. If we don't approve it, we have to have a special session shortly to develop a new budget so we can get the budget done before the end of the month. So anybody wants to make a motion to approve the budget?
Motion. I'll second.
Second? How do you vote?
No.
I'm going to say yes.
Yes?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So the budget is approved, and we go forward. Yes? I'm sorry?
Can you repeat the votes, please?
The votes is Councilman Hines, no. Councilman Messiah, yes. Mayor Pro Temp, yes. And Councilman Zabiki, yes.
Thank you, sir.
All right, going to item 6. Town Manager, would you like to do your report?
Yes, sir. I would like to say, I know we recognize Tony and Ken for their contributions, but they were extremely helpful at the last movie in the park when we had the audio failure. And Jeanette, she was there. She handled it great from what I hear. It was a lot of pressure to have all those people there and not be able to put on the movie, so. That's a bonus. We are having the re-showing of Moana 2 this Friday. Since we had the hiccup, we're offering free popcorn, Hawaiian shaved ice, and we'll have the Moana Disney Princess on site for pictures and meet and greet. The website is nearing completion. We continue to work with our developers and the new software programs. Last week, we went over the pay systems that the town will be using to conduct the payments for the community center, for the permits, so that'll bring us into the current century. Public Works has started spraying for mosquitoes, and you can be added to a do not spray list. You can contact the town hall for more information. Late last week, the town was approved for the financing through the local government commission for the $2 million loan. And as mentioned earlier, the paving will begin on July 7th, pending, of course, weather. The open air market that has recently launched is doing well. I believe they're up to over 20 applications at this time, and that will be the third Sunday of each month through October, November. So we're looking forward to that. That will be held here in the community center and around the community center. And Parks and Rec and Miss Linda from Community Development are heading that up, and they're doing a great job with it. We have an upcoming event called the Batting Cage Blitz. It's going to be a fundraiser to raise money for the batting cages that are proposed in the new municipal park plan. They plan to have ballpark concessions, competitive softball games, raffles, and more. Doug Skipper over in Community Development, if you see him out and about, please give him kudos. He passed his level 2 plumbing exam, so he now holds level 2s in certificates in plumbing. That's a huge accomplishment. And Public Works, I want to highlight them for just a minute. So every year, we have a contract with DOT where we go out and maintain the curb and gutters on the state highways within our corporate limits. This was requested several years ago because the council at the time did not feel like DOT maintained them as well as we could, and it's what everyone sees when they drive through town. So this past week, Public Works was out on the highways. One day they had police, one day they didn't, but they were able to get all the curbs and gutters done in 2 days, which is a new record. So it's always great when they can get on the highway and get off safely. So kudos to them. That was great. The Comprehensive Land Use Plan Committee, they're still hard at work. They went over Chapter 3 of the Land Use Plan that deals with the natural systems within the town, such as wetlands, streams, stormwater. They had some recommendations, so Wes, our consultant for that, will go back, make those changes, and then bring it back to the committee. And the work on the multi-use paths continues. The next meeting is July 8th, where we're hoping that Kleinfelder, our consultant on those projects, will present us with some new renderings. And that's all I have.
I wanted to add to the mishap with the movie showing that Mr. Bradshaw was instrumental. Jeanette worked very hard. My wife was there, who's also part of the Bee City Committee, and she was working hard to try and troubleshoot things as well. There was a lost child that got lost, and it was pitch black dark, and Mr. Bradshaw, my wife, and other volunteers kind of fanned out and found the child. So it was a stressful evening, but everyone kind of pulled together, helped the town, and there were volunteers, and my wife, and Ken, and we kind of rectified the situation. So I want to thank you, and I want to publicly thank my wife, because I had kids there, and she kind of stepped up and tried to help Jeanette the best she could, and help clean up afterwards. So kudos to you, Nikki, if you're watching. I also had a question about the grant for the community center. I know you mentioned it in your mayor's message, and you keep saying it's ongoing. Can we get a little more information? Is this a matching grant? Like, what's it called? What's the grant called? Like, I don't know what it is.
It's a direct funding by Congress. We have applied for various grants from direct funding from various sources, and this was one of them. When the congressman suggested that we submitted it. The last data point that I have is last week that they said it went into the appropriation package and is going through the budgeting cycle with the Congress. And as the budget gets approved by September or October, we should hear something about that. It's a one-time
Do you have,
funding.
is there an amount? Like, is there an amount?
$1.2 million, and the justification was to expand the community center.
Is
That's
this,
all I have.
is this a federal or state?
It's a federal.
That's when you said Congress, okay. Okay.
Congressman Murphy's,
Congressman Murphy.
Congress Murphy's office has that, and I
Got
have
it.
reported to you that the data point is that these things go through the budget cycle, and we don't have any control over that. We have submitted all of our justification. I don't know what other questions you have.
So if we get this money per se, like, we haven't decided to do anything with the community center, because that's another phase.
That may be another phase, but it's money to do to do that. So
But
if
if
you
we-
have a better way to get money,
No, it's-
please jump in with all, well, I'll be delighted if you can jump in and go to
Here-
talk to some of the
here's my
congressmen
point.
or senators to get more
If we
money.
get this money, is that then council needs to address if we are going to indeed upgrade the community center or build a new one.
Once we have the money, then we decide what to do with it regarding community center, but it has to be spent on the community center.
So it must be spent on the community center
Yes,
regardless.
the justification that I've written for Congressman Murphy's office is for the community center. We, at this point, the latest update is it went part of the big package that Congressman Murphy submitted to the House of Representatives.
Okay.
That's all I know, and if you have any better idea
No.
or better approaches, this is the second time you have brought it up, criticizing the approach.
I'm not criticizing the approach. I was wondering what kind of grant it was. Is it matching? Do you have to do a certain thing within a
I
certain
have
time
mentioned that
period?
during the last-
I didn't know the amount, so this is the first time I heard about the amount. That's all. So I just wanted some more information just to hear about it. But if we do get this and we can apply it to the community center, and that's what council wants to do, then so be it. That's great.
During the last council meeting, I mentioned it was 1.2. I
I must have
mentioned
missed
it was Congressman Murphy's office. I mentioned it was for the community center, and that data has not changed since the last meeting. I don't know what else to provide to you
Nothing.
to be
Thank you.
satisfied.
I must have missed the amount.
Mayor, I want to commend you for the work you're doing trying to get these grants. You put tireless hours into doing this. And so regardless of how it goes about, you're putting the time in, and I appreciate it for one.
Thank
It helps out the town a lot. It's something that we haven't done in the past. I'm guilty. When I was mayor, I didn't put the time in like you did, like you have been. Times were a little different then. But you meeting with all these representatives is always what it's going to take for this town to be heard around the county and around the state and even up in Washington. So I appreciate it.
Agreed.
Yeah, and I agree with that too, because somebody's offering you money, and $1.2 million, I'm sure we can come up with something to improve this place, spending that $1.2 million, other than just building a whole new place. It could be parking lots, whatever. But I want to thank you for, really, I mean, you've been out there working, and it's getting done. I mean, like I say, all to the federal level. And I think people, because of the mayor, Holly Ridge is on the map. Thank you, Mayor.
And just, thank you, but it's not me, I mean, I look at it as a town. These things, I had a 2-minute conversation with Senator Tillis's office, and actually Senator got on the phone with his representative, and he gave me, just for the audience, he gave me a comment. It was just a 2-minute conversation. He said that there are 3 stages of getting funding from us, meaning the government. One stage is it takes a year to build credibility. It takes another year to justify your project, and it takes a 3rd year to go into the funding cycle. So these things take a long time, and there's no guarantee. And as you have seen with the budget, with President Trump's budget cycle, there's fighting, there's cutting. $1.2 million is nothing compared to what they spend. It may get, just hidden under the radar. They may cut it, they may cut $20 million, at least $1.2 million is part of it. We have no control of it other than continuous communication with them. So that's all I can do, and hopefully it's for the betterment of Holly Ridge. Any more comments? All right, we are going to, Town Manager, anything else you want to add?
No, sir.
Okay, I tell you what, I'm in the town hall, as you know, and you comment on it, that I'm sometimes a pain with the staff, but the staff does an amazing job with the limited staff that we have doing what they do. Each of the department heads, from police to public works to our CFO to Nate, Rachel, and of course Margaret and Amber, they do a fantastic job, and on behalf of the town, on behalf of the citizen, I appreciate it. All right, going to item 7, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Zabiki,
Second.
second by Councilman Marciano. Any discussions on the consent agenda? Vote to approve?
Yes.
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 Okay, consent agenda is approved. Going to item 8, old business. I'm going to read the item. This is a consideration of a request by Holly Ridge Volunteer Fire Department for funds in the amount of $49,673 for the future capital outlay, from the future capital outlay fund, line item 10-800-04-0, for the purpose of completing due diligence on their property. The recommendation is, this is for a possible action of this council to approve or not, and we can have a motion or we can have discussion. Anybody
Town
else?
manager want to expand on anything?
Do you want additional information?
Go ahead.
Yeah, this is not part of the 1.3, this is in addition to, or they want to use this year's funding or something like that?
Yes, sir.
Just
It
clarify.
would come out of this year's funding under the future capital outlay, which is where we account for the 3 cents that we received back from Onslow County for fire protection services. On May 5th, Chief Longo submitted a formal request via email requesting authorization to utilize a portion of those funds. This is for a due diligence package that's being provided by an architect with the company Bobbitt. Included in your packet was the description of what all the package included: topo, geotechnical, environmental, fire flow, design build. So that's what's before you tonight.
Can you explain what the fire, it's a fire tax usually it's called, correct?
Yes, sir.
Can you explain what that is, what it's used for usually?
Sure. So the fire tax is the 3 cents that Onslow County returns to the town of Holly Ridge for the properties located within our corporate boundaries. In the past, historically, the town has put it in a separate fund, and then Chief Longo has made requests from that fund. Last year, the note on the building was paid off. This year, this request, I believe there was one other at some point, but it can only be used for fire protection services. It cannot be reallocated for any other use.
Mayor, Mr. Longo, is it lieutenant, is it captain, what is your position? Would you come in and kind of explain what you're wanting to do with this?
I haven't been in the workshops or anything, any discussions, but that was, Chief said that any discussion should be, would be great in a workshop. And that's the way we would make, in the past, to make recommendations or decisions. It's usually done in a workshop. And for the overall,
Chief, when we're talking about the fire tax.
right, the fire tax.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
all
I'm
he
just
mentioned
asking, what is the purpose of doing this study? What is your plans? That's what I'm asking.
of the fire station, the adequate.
Building a new fire
future.
station.
Yes,
Okay,
Yep.
that was the question I needed.
Yep, great.
Do we not think this is premature for $49,673? Because we're minimum 5 years away? I mean, I would just think that would be money not well spent for the fire community at this time.
Okay,
That's
any
just my...
motions?
How do we receive this fire tax money and we keep it aside? Do you know, how do other municipalities deal with this? Do they give it direct, all right away to the fire departments? Or do they hold on to it and request, is this request every time? Is that what the normal avenue is? Do you know?
It is, so the towns located within the county that have a town-funded department, it goes directly to that department, for lack of a better way to say that. And then throughout the county, the other areas that still utilize a volunteer department, it's up to the board. So I believe last year Richlands passed through the money to their fire department because they're currently building a new facility. And then Swansboro is a town-operated department. And then we held ours in a capital outlay and then paid off the building. And believe there was one other thing we used it for last year.
I think it was fire gear, or grants, that's what that money was probably used. We go toward grants for the upgrade of equipment. Within the fire department.
You're talking about 3 cents? I believe the contract that we signed with the county said it was for fire protection services. So equipment would be covered under that.
Yeah, land wouldn't be.
So essentially, he's asking for this money to do due diligence to upgrade the current fire station with whatever it needs. This probably came about because of the discussion to go to a municipal fire department and because of the discussions of the growth that's happening. If you're going to go to municipal fire department, you're going to have a bunkhouse. There's certain things you have to include in the firehouse. So this is where this is coming from. Is it premature? I don't know. You got to start somewhere. But the fire tax purpose is for this, to upgrade our fire services. And if you're going to upgrade fire services, the building is part of that. I think he's being proactive. I think he's kind of anticipating the needs, which he's been doing throughout the years. The firefighters that were approved for this upcoming budget was a need that was addressed 4 years ago. And now, 4 years later, it's been addressed and now was approved. So Chief Longo continues to be proactive, trying to see what the future needs and trying to work towards that. So this money is there. It's not, the county gives us money to do stuff like this, and it's this year's 3 cents, correct?
Yes,
It's this year's. So I'm going to support Chief Longo and what he's trying to do here, anticipating this growth that I hear you all keep talking about, because the fire service is going to have to grow with this, and that's part of it.
Are you making a motion?
No, I'm not done. What I'm looking at is, have we made a decision to go to the municipal fire department? That's the question, because if we haven't, it's nice to be proactive, but if we're going to give money to something that is just going to be for the Holly Ridge Volunteer Fire Department and doesn't become a municipal fire department, I don't understand. It sounds proactive, but I don't see, if our goal is to go to be a municipal fire department, we need to do that, and we need to say that we're going to do it by such and such a time, and when it becomes a municipal fire department, it's no longer a volunteer fire department, then the fire department comes under the town, and the fire chief, like the police chief, will report to the town manager. Is that correct? Is that how that would be if we go that route?
Yes.
Okay, but right now, we're not going that route. I mean, if we're in that route of, yes, we are definitely going to the municipal fire department, then I can see doing this, because, yeah, then we're gonna need more stuff. But if we're just gonna keep dangling it and say we don't know what we're gonna do, but we have to make a decision as to whether we're gonna miss the fire department, how long is it gonna be till we do that? And then, but understand that the volunteer fire department would go away, and the chief, just like the chief of police, would work for the town manager and be answered to the town manager. Is that correct? Okay, thank you.
Mayor, I've gone through this in my head a number of times. The building over there is, Lieutenant Longo, 50 years old, is that correct? 1959. The building over there, it's well worn.
66.
Whether we can't go to a municipal fire department until the fire department wants to turn their assets over to us, because we cannot afford it. The fact of the matter is that if and when that time comes, if they have a new building built, then we would retain those assets if they turn them over to us, because we're not going to be able to build the building. They build it, it's going to be there, and in 5 years, if that happens, it's going to take a couple of years to get that building built.
Councilman Hines, you know the hard work that goes on over there. And you're talking about, the services. Within that 49,000, that's taxpayers' money that's given to the town for the fire service. And all Chief Longo is doing is being proactive with manpower. Manning is a key thing.
Right.
That's the most expensive thing. That's the most liability. So, with this money, with what the county EMS director was saying, we got another call. But we have people over there volunteering, I know they're standing by. But anyway, so in doing that, he didn't speak one word about volunteers responding on the EMS. I don't know if anybody caught that or not. That's why I was hoping to put that plug in. Those 60, 70 calls a month, that's mostly volunteers, pay people during the day. So, I mean, you gotta change your mindset. This $49,000 is going a long ways. It's not being spent on catering parties or whatever. There's a lot of
I
hard
don't
work.
think nobody's questioning that
I
part.
understand that, but you know what the hard work
Yeah,
that
but
goes on.
what I was gonna get at as I was going is that doing this is gonna further our plans for the future too. So we're starting something now that will further our initial goal in the future if that's what we want to do.
And I agree with that. I'm just wondering is, I've been told that as we get more rooftops in our town and we increase the population, and if Phase 3 goes as it is, I've been told that we're going to be required to have a municipal fire department. Is that true or false?
Who's telling you this?
I've heard it here at the council meetings. That's where I've heard
I
it.
think what you've been told is that the man would require a fire station. Mayor, you might be able to, a fire station over there.
So there's no requirement for a municipal fire department, as long as you have a fire department? Okay.
I would like to clarify,
More to
please. Phase 3, the developers for Phase 3 and Project Ajax are not willing to annex into the town without a municipal department. If they cannot have a municipal department, they will do a fire, like a private fire service,
The developer put one in?
in addition to the volunteers, because it helps with insurance
Okay.
rates. That's what we have been told.
And it's all part of that, like the mutual aid agreement you have with the surrounding other
All right.
Our goal
municipalities.
is to have a municipal
We could
fire
do that.
department during the next,
That's where
5 to 7.
workshops come in.
Okay.
So,
Okay, but I agree with you about,
but
Go ahead.
as long as that,
I got Josh,
There is a
question
commi-
for Nate.
as long as there's a commitment that whatever we spend on
Right.
is gonna come back right to town.
yep, okay.
When you have a municipal fire department, there's a commitment that whatever we spend on that investment, like Councilman Hines mentioned, the condition of giving that money is that that money is gonna, equivalent of then that money is gonna come back to town.
Okay, understood.
Mayor, if I may, Chief Longo has sent a message and said that this needs to be done either way. We need the building, whether it's theirs or the town's, and that there's a grant on the line that needs this due diligence.
Okay, that's even better.
I didn't think I was able to say that.
Okay, good, okay, understood.
I was just gonna have a point of clarity with Nate in the room. Usually engineered, not that these are engineered plans, but the design, build, estimating site, architectural. Nate, isn't there a shelf life of 5 years on these plans? So if hypothetically they spend this 50 grand, we do nothing with it, then they're just gonna have to spend the money again? No, I'm talking about zoning and planning in regards to the money that's being spent for design, topography. How long is that good for?
I'm not sure of that.
No, that's for Nate, not for you. I'm sorry, Lieutenant. That's for Nate, behind you.
Nate, do you wanna come
I
up?
mean, I know from a developer standpoint, you can't go over 5 years, so that's my point, is you spend 50,000 and we do nothing with it, we just wasted that 50 and you have to spend the money again. Can you clarify on that?
So your question is, if they are spending money towards design, that how long they are relevant? or-
Yeah, they're doing a topo preliminary survey, field verification, design, build, staff, estimating, site. We got sheets going in, across the street, that's gonna change the whole topography. So we spend the money on this, as soon as sheets goes in, they're gonna have to probably redo it again. Because
Right.
sheets is gonna change everything.
Right, and it's going to depend on who gets in there first.
Sheets is gonna get a difference.
Yeah, I don't disagree, being
Okay.
they have submitted their information, because I've not seen anything related to site plan or any concept or anything related to the
That's my point, I'm trying to make, yes.
So if that is a factor then that's something that Chief Longo should know,
Yes, but
to wait for sheets and then move forward. When you're talking about this development and whether we annex or not, I get it. You just proved my point. All the reason to move towards a municipal fire department, whether you want to do that or not, you move towards that by doing things like this. by preparing ahead of time, so when, if and when it does happen, you're all set to go.
Wait a minute, Nate.
As long as there's a commitment that whatever we spend and whatever design that happens, we have the right to, and it's gonna come back to town.
I want to ask Nate, I'm a little confused. What's the difference if Sheets goes in over there and we go ahead and do the fire department? What's the difference? I was lost.
Yeah, I mean, so you're going to develop more, it's going to be relevant to their particular property, but it's still going to affect it in some ways related to, some of the issues we have, for instance, with the industrial park and how the water flows and the stormwater runoff and things. Stormwater, not being an expert on any of this, being an engineer, but through my understanding, is stormwater controls are good for the first 2 inches of runoff. They're supposed to control that. That's not going to change, drastically, but it is good when they're doing the topography for their area to know where that is draining to. So it could impact. Majorly, probably not, but it's good for them to understand.
But the footprint of the building, if it doesn't change, it's not going to have an effect on it.
I would not disagree.
I have enough information.
Mayor, I'll call for a question.
So, any motions?
Make a motion, call for a question.
What's that?
Okay.
What's the motion?
End the debate, call for the question, end the debate.
So we are, but we still have a motion to approve or not.
I'll make a motion, we approve.
I second.
Yes?
Yes.
I mean, a waste. I'll say no, because I'm going to say yes. No.
Yes.
I'll say no to something.
Okay. All right, going to item 9. Request to approve the Onwassa Administration Service Agreement to the operation of the satellite office. The recommendation is action to possibly approve Onwassa Service Agreement to operate satellite office and authorize the town manager to execute the document. Motion?
Nothing changes in this
Can she explain?
agreement.
No, sir,
from
the
what was.
only thing that changed in this agreement is the dates.
And would you let everybody know what we get from Onwassa for maintaining that office?
Sure, we receive $35,000 annually to operate a satellite office.
Standard operating procedure, correct?
Yes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second. Mayor Pro Tem motion is first, Councilman Hines. Then, how do you vote?
Yes.
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 Okay. All right, going to the next item. Consideration of a new corporate business sponsorship program for the new Holly Ridge Municipal Park. You want Rachel to comment, or you want to?
Oh, no, sir, I'll
Okay,
take
go
it. I'll introduce it, and then if Rachel wants to.
Okay.
So Mayor Pro Tem Patty had reached out in March following the initial sticker shock over the park, the master municipal park plan, estimated budget of $10 million. And he suggested a corporate and business sponsorship program. I've included his thoughts and my initial thoughts, so we're at the point where staff needs direction if this is something council wishes for staff to pursue, and officially put together a program and roll it out.
Shouldn't I'm sorry to interrupt, but shouldn't the Friends of the Park be doing this? Sort of study this approach?
They could. Yes, sir. I mean,
Rachel, any comment? Come on up.
I would say the Friends of the Park could definitely assist, go around with businesses and stuff, but I don't think it would hurt to have a sponsorship tiered level so they would know what they were getting. Definitely can't hurt to ask for money. All they can do is say no.
So can they come up with a recommendation? Can we pass it to the Friends of the Park to make a recommendation?
I would say that we would initially come up with the process, the layout of it, and then we would then pass it to them and say, hey, go forth and do good things from there.
So the staff is the one making the,
Yes, the suggestion I gave to you was just rudimentary.
Yep.
I would hope the staff and you all know what Holly Ridge needs, and those the sponsorship tiers, the first one's $50,000, that's not something that's probably feasible, so you guys can kind of tweak it and mold it to what we want to do, and you know best, that was the idea. So if you have it all set up, then it goes to Friends of the Park, and they can be the machine behind the sponsorship program, along with staff that can get it moving in motion.
And that thing we're doing for the batting cage, it's kind of a private, public type of thing too?
So that's basically, it's going with our moving the park, we're showing Sandlot that day.
Right.
So we're doing just like a concession, like a very small fundraiser, trying to get the ball rolling on that. Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's not the group that rents it all the time, coming in with stuff, it's just strictly the town doing it then?
It's the town, sir, yes, sir.
Got it, thank you, that's all I need to know.
So what action do you want, Heather, on this?
So if council would like to direct the staff to formally put together a presentation, send it to Friends of the Park for their input, and then bring it back to the council for adoption?
Or why don't we just have staff put it together, and then after it's all put together, do we have to approve it after it's put together? Or is it just,
We can approve the,
and then Friends of the Park
planning.
can be the one that implement a sponsorship program? Because I think you are the professionals, and you know how to tier this, how to do this, et cetera. So have it all set up for them.
Madam Attorney, what would you suggest to do?
That's where I was going. I was also, from a funding standpoint too, I know IRS tax laws with corporate sponsorships difference for a city, so can you just elaborate on that a little bit more and make sure Holly Ridge is above par?
Oh my gosh, only I would do that.
Potentially.
I think ultimately it's a business decision on how you want to handle that. If you want legal input on just making sure that from a tax perspective, that you're above board and that you've complied with applicable general statutes, I'm glad to do that. I'm aware of several types of sponsorships that different municipalities have, whether that's to name buildings, kind of goes from there. I mean, naming a building's a massive undertaking, all the way down to splash pads, I've seen. So certainly you can do it. If you'd like advice on that, I'm glad to give it. But in terms of how to structure it, I think that's ultimately going to be a business decision for the board.
Well, I'm looking at more is should we make a motion tonight to go ahead and do it, or just direct staff to go ahead and put something together to present to us?
In terms of, well, let me say it this way. I wouldn't encourage you to approve anything without knowing what you're approving.
Right.
So if the question is if you should give an approval tonight on a proposal that you haven't seen, I would say probably not.
Well, I guess I'm saying, can we make a motion to direct staff to look into this? Would that be proper?
You can.
That's
You don't have to,
what
you don't have to make a motion to direct staff. You just tell Heather that that's what you'd like to do.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, that's good.
That's the recommendation, correct? Just to say, hey, put this together.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you want me to make a motion to approve?
There's no motion needed. There's no motion needed, right?
No.
Great.
Done.
There you go.
All right. The next item is consideration of the new corporate, and, we did that already.
Yep.
Possible action to budget amendment. Chuck, come on up. Budget amendment number 4 for fiscal year 24-25.
Hello again, council. As you see the budget, it's June, so this is the cleanup. This is what we do every year. We've talked about it at several different meetings as far as additional staff needs throughout the year, where we're going to pull from, where we can find the money. So the CPA and I sat down yesterday, and we made sure this list was accurate and fair, and made sure it was going to kept us out of trouble with the LGC. This was a recommendation. Any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
This is the administrative move, right?
Yes,
There's no
there is
impact on
zero new
anything.
money coming out of the fund balance.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion to approve by Mayor Pro Tem, second by Councilman Messiano. How do you vote? Oh, any discussion? How do you vote?
Yes.
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 Okay, approved.
Thank
Okay, going to item D, which was the subject of the initial motion that Mayor Pro Tem brought up. I need to, go ahead to the next one. Go to the next slide, please. Okay, I know Chief Longo is not here, so it's unfair to really talk about him, but since Mayor Pro Tem brought that up, I got to address that. What you see on the screen are two texts of the county agreement with Volunteer Fire Department, which our Volunteer Fire Department has signed. And the next text is our contract with the fire department, with the Volunteer Fire Department. Now, we are going through negotiation. There are many things in our agreement that has to be worked out in terms of funding and other details, but this was just one item that I had a conversation with Chief Longo on the phone, as Mayor Pro Tem mentioned, and as Mayor Pro Tem mentioned, there's a misunderstanding on what was conveyed. I did send this exact text to the council, told them that I had a conversation with the chief, and during the past 24 hours, the chief accused me of misrepresenting the agreement. So, anyway, so the idea is, in order to make the two contracts consistent, at least on this area, to take the white text out of the contract, which says at the direction of the Board of Directors, because that is not the same in the county contract. So that was all that was discussed, but it has created some level of friction between Chief Longo and myself through a series of emails. Not going to address it now. That's for later discussion. We are going to review the whole contract with the Volunteer Fire Department in terms of funding and other issues that have to go into the contract. And one of the actions, I guess the council has the decision to ignore my recommendation, accept my recommendation, or defer it until we worked out all the other details with Chief and the contract. So I guess the recommendation is for the discussion of this council and discuss the decision as to the next steps. This is one issue, but there are a number of other issues we have to work through the contract with the Volunteer Fire Department. Did I express it correctly, Town Manager? Okay. So, this is for discussion and comments by the council.
So why does our contract have to mirror the county contract? Town Manager? Why does our contract with Holly Ridge Fire and Rescue have to mirror the contract that they have with the county?
Does it make sense for two contracts about the same thing to be different, one at the direction of the board and one unconditional? What sense does it make to have two contracts that when that particular fire department goes out of business, one contract says at the direction of the board and one contract says unconditional? What sense does it make? You explain that to me.
I don't know, that's why it would be nice to have a discussion with them.
I'm looking at the contract here, all right? So, say Holly Ridge Volunteer Fire Company goes away tonight.
Right.
Then the county takes their assets and gives them away.
Right.
So we wouldn't have anything to do with it because they're not really, would this only be if we had a municipal fire department?
No. If you say your scenario that if they go away.
Right, they go away.
The equipment that county has paid for goes to that county.
Right.
The equipment that we have paid for has to go through Board of Directors of the Fire Department before we get it back.
Okay, so the county just gets the assets that the county paid for, and the town of Holly Ridge would get the assets which the town of Holly Ridge paid for from the fire department.
As long as the Board of Directors of the Volunteer Fire Department approves.
Okay.
That's why I'm recommending to make the two contracts consistent without having the need for the Board of Directors. And we don't have, look, guys, we don't have to make that decision tonight. we can defer it until we deal with all the other terms of the contract.
Because everything is, we still have a contract. Until we sign another contract, that contract stays in place.
That's correct. But we do need to upgrade the contract
Understood.
because there's funding issues.
Right.
And there are other things that we have to work through the contract. And we have to put away all the conversation that happened during the past 24 hours about who lied and who didn't lie and accusations and so forth. It's really purely a text, one part of the contract. This is one segment of the contract.
So the point in contention is at the direction of the board of directors and membership of the fire department, which the town wants to put in.
That's correct.
That's, okay.
Take that out.
We want to take that out.
Okay.
Lieutenant, can you clarify for the citizens of Holly Ridge, the direction of the board? Who composes the board for the Holly Ridge Fire Department? How many officers are there? There's 6 officers, and who's the head of the board? Chief Longo.
Now, through the series of emails, have you had, all the council members had access to all the emails?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so in that last email should justify what we're talking about after reading it over and over. That's why this workshop is so important. You got issues, and if you're worried about the citizens knowing everything that's going on in this meeting, invite people to the workshop, because they'll hear everything that you speak of. So that's what I would recommend, and the workshop has always been important. So if you're just like not holding any credit to that at all, that's where your discussion is. That's where you move forward.
I believe we've had a few workshops with Chief Longo in there over the last 2 years.
It sounds like you need another workshop to clarify this contract.
That's
It's
good.
real simple.
I think what really would be a basis for starting is for, even though she's not in charge of the fire department is for the most part, mostly a department of the town, which she is in charge of all the departments of the town. So for him to work out, for Chief Longo to work out with our manager to get details of a contract, and then come back to us and say, look, this is what we have come up with, and does the board agree with it? Because to do this tonight, and then, all right, now we got to have another, so we can change something else, let's do it all at one time and be done with it. And I don't see a problem right now. I just don't see an urgency.
All the people that are involved in volunteer fire department, and even in the mutual aid department, has town of Holly Ridge missing. It's not even, it's so widespread. The concern is everywhere. And these volunteers work hard, and the state people work hard. But you got to consider, there's the main emphasis on a workshop. That's where you get things done. Invite people in if they want to hear what's going on with the contract. If they have any concerns, let them hear it firsthand.
Well, any meeting we have is open to the public, workshop or not.
And let it be advertised. I think the workshops are great things to have.
I'm going to read you a little portion of Brandon's email, just along these same lines. So he says, updates should ideally come from a collaborative workshop where both parties can review and agree on a draft before it's presented for final approval. Our current contract is a product of such a workshop. This process ensures that we are both aligned and that all key points are addressed in a structured manner. I trust this clarifies the intended approach. So why not just do all this together, the entire contract together, and we can discuss and collaborate and figure it out all at once.
I think that's what I said. I said this is just one part of it, and there are other issues to work on, so we need to review the contract to workshop or whatever means is to work through. Now, Heather, when Councilman Hines mentioned something, you sort of should get, are you willing to be the sort of negotiator in a contract with Chief Longo? Great.
So I'm going to make a motion to table this in lieu of a workshop. Does that make sense?
Yep, that makes sense.
I'll second it.
Second by Councilman Hines. All in favor? So, any more discussions? The decision to table this change and make it as a part of the whole workshop to discuss the contract.
Can I ask Councilman Patty, would you say, and to give Heather the option, or the opportunity to work with Chief Longo before we have a workshop?
Just to kind of get things going? Sure.
Okay. You agree with that approach? Okay, the motion, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
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 Excellent. All right. All right, now, since nobody has signed up, it's still open for anybody in the public who would like to comment. Ms. Scholler, please, come on up.
3 minutes. Most impactful 3 minutes.
Belinda Scholl, 111 Highway 17.
Bridge. I have a question. I talked to Heather about this already, about the garbage situation. I just want clarification from the board as well, that this change is not going to involve the commercial businesses of town. Correct?
To my knowledge, we didn't decide on anything, correct?
Decided not to involve the business.
Okay.
That they can still keep their private contracts with whomever they choose.
Just wanted...
Yep.
So I can make my voice known to the council, the reason I even did that. And as far as the discussion earlier, there is a reason I don't come to the meeting, because I do get so angry, because I do get upset, because I work hard for my money, and I don't like to see it thrown away. I feel like it should be treated just like the business, or just like my personal money. I don't throw it away, and I don't want my tax dollars there. So nothing personal, just want to go ahead and say that.
And because you love Holly Ridge, correct?
Yeah. I used to hate Holly Ridge, yes, but now I've been here so long, I love Holly Ridge.
Well, we appreciate you, thank you.
Susan, do you have any comment? Just inviting you to come up and say something on the spot. Because you always have good comments to say. Okay, I'll call you. All right.
Too late.
All right, it is time for, I'm sorry. Yes, sir, Mr. Bradshaw. Come on up. Name, address, please.
Ken Bradshaw, 134 Beacon Ridge Drive, Holly Ridge, North Carolina, 28445. We're discussing taxes and so on and so forth. You guys were 43 cents, right? Didn't raise it a penny.
34
cents, didn't raise it a penny for how many years now? And I don't know, just by freak chance today, I called my mortgage company because I got my mortgage bill and it said less than what it normally does. You know, so I was like, well, doesn't everything always go up? You know, so I was like, I better call right away. You know, so I don't